Hey traders, welcome to Market Internal Review for May 30th, 2023. Had an interesting day on SPY. We had a $2 gap up above Friday's high of day price. Came in with some expectation of potential indecision for the market today, given that Monday was a holiday. Figured if we had any kind of gap type scenario that perhaps the majority of the day would be spent deciding where fair value might start out for the week. So we did have a divergence on AD and VOLD with their trends. As soon as we opened up, the trends were showing for the 20 SMA bearish, so potential reversal, which we did have, but the trend was showing a balance right here around our TWAP. We had our first bounce off of the first standard deviation low on the TWAP, bounced all the way through up to the other end of the first deviation, and then we lost the value with a really hard sell. And we see by the time we have the hard sell, we did have a breakout on the tick, not quite to the extremes that I like to look for a strong trend or a reversal. Also, the bands on AD and VOLD were showing potentially bullish. So this hard sell really set things back, and we proceeded to spend the majority of the rest of the morning session selling off, although the price action was subpar for anybody that was trying to do any kind of scalps. We did finally break into the second deviation low, but you can see here for the majority of the day, the average tick closures was bouncing around above and below zero. The AD and VOLD bands gave us some indication, but honestly today the internals were providing, I'd say, a lot of mixed signals. Definitely not the best day. We did show with trend a decent amount of imbalance, but I don't think it really appeared on the chart. So when I see this kind of thing, it's take what you can get or don't trade. Find something else to trade that is showing good alignment with the internals. I would say that the alignment with the internals really started to show up in the last half of the day. You can see roughly around here we're bearish, we're showing an imbalance, so potential for a move either up or down. And as we're still below TWAP, I would be thinking potentially bearish, especially considering the bands. They have been red the majority of the day, even though tick is kind of doing its own thing. And right here around 130, which I've mentioned in the past, we did finally see that sell, and you got a decent amount of points here. We've got 420 and a half down to roughly 419 I'll call it. So that's not a bad move, but then we get this really bizarre purchase here all of a sudden. Now I'm going to turn on the monthly TWAP. So one thing I found was the second deviation on the monthly TWAP for May. We started to see some tests here on that, so very interesting alignment. Again, I think there's some relevance to these bands and to the anchor higher time frame anchor TWAPs. So I'm not saying I'm taking trades off of this, but it's definitely something I'd pull up to see if that could provide some kind of explanation for the price action that I'm noting. I didn't check to see if there was any news around this time, but that's definitely something that I'd be interested to know. And so yeah, we have this hard buy. We see a strong tick closure on the bullish side, and that's roughly where the party stops. I mean, we did go up a couple more bars here and reclaim a previous level, but not a whole lot. And you could see that it wasn't enough to pull the volume up to the bullish zone. We did see a reversal on the 20 SMA trend, but yeah, just overall a blip in a otherwise bearish day, albeit quite a low quality scalping environment. I definitely did okay today, but definitely not one of the better days where you can grab some really good moves. and have confidence for maybe a trending day, and hold for some decent higher profits. Turn over to let's turn on the tick levels here, so we can see this basically explains at the very least why we stopped here. Roughly had a decent amount of tick traffic right around here, so not too surprising. If you somehow were long from down here for some reason, then you would have a couple of different trim targets. So this all aligns. We turn on the thicken feature. Yeah, so right there you can see we had an immense amount of tick closures, tick action right at this price. So yep, I guess that should be no surprise then, that's why the price stopped dead in its tracks right there. Definitely failed. No expectation of a retest here, given that we failed to hold even the next one below. So if you were long somewhere around here and you just entered at a reclaim a TWAP, perhaps you'd be taking some profits here and having your stop slightly below the TWAP at the previous tick level. So if that was the kind of trade you were into, then you probably would have best case maybe broke even or taken away some small profits, but there's some nasty wicks in here as well. Okay, let's go take a look at the Qs real quick. Okay, Qs, mostly the same outlook as SPY. Nothing really any different, oscillating, maybe a more aggressive drop here in the morning, oscillating the TWAP first standard deviation bands, and the strong buy that came out of nowhere. Checking IWM, yeah, pretty much same story. I'd say perhaps a little bit weaker than the others. Yeah, see, notice how this tick levels indicator can kind of give you a really quick assessment on where the action is, and you can see the thicker tick levels are at the lows, versus if we go back to SPY, they're more at the mid, and the Qs, yeah, kind of mid to low. So I'd almost take a stab at saying that this probably is more of a stronger value area, which is no surprise. It's roughly where the TWAP ended on the day. So that's pretty interesting. Let's go look at trend. So trend, as I've said in the past, I like to see for shorting, for bearishness, I want to see over the consolidation, that 1.1 through 9 range. So we were in there a little bit, as I pointed out with the MIT indicator, but then after that we broke out, and we did even go into the more extreme bearish area, and that's mostly where we closed today. Not too bad. Definitely would it be, was the day to focus on shorts if you use the trend indicator to trade. Looking at the ad, today was probably a good day to have at least the 20 SMA on. We can see that even though we started up here in the bullish zone, it's definitely not a strong buy, but we were under Friday's value that was established. So all of the NYSE was up here in the bullish area, but we failed to hold that. So even though SPY had a gap up, the NYSE collectively had a gap down, and the selling continued quite aggressively all the way until 10:30, where we actually crossed down to the bearish side, and they struggled to hold this area here. And then we can see that buy that we had gets us just over. So we had at that point 78 stocks in the NYSE that were actually advancing. So this is essentially more of a balance. We go check the VOLD. So VOLD, here we go. So last video I pointed out that VOLD had closed at extreme high bullish area, and that it would be interesting to see what would happen when we opened on today, Tuesday. Here we could see we had an immense buy on volume, a lot of volume pouring into advancing stocks, and then we opened Tuesday here after the holiday right at zero effectively, and just much volume going into declining stocks. It did kind of even out here at the end of the day, so I'm going to be creating a level here just to see kind of what happens tomorrow. So interesting stuff. Overall, this was more of a quick scalp, take what you can kind of day, and not a whole lot was really decided here, I don't feel. So just a consolidation, a little bit of a sorting day to try to figure out what's going to happen for the rest of the week. I think this pretty much concludes the review today. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope you had a good trading session. Thank you for watching.